Strasbourg, 1518. The heat is suffocating. The air smells of stagnant river water and unwashed wool. In the middle of a narrow, filth-strewn street, a woman named Frau Troffea stops walking. She doesn't scream, she doesn't speak, she simply begins to dance. At first, her neighbors watch with amusement, but then an hour passes. Then 3, then the sun goes down and Frau Troffea is still there, her face a pale, sweat-soaked mask. Her husband, frantic, pleaded with her, but her eyes were vacant, rolled back into her head. Seeing something far beyond the dusty street, her shoes, once sturdy, were now soaked through with blood, each step a wet, sickening slap on the cobblestones. She isn't dancing to music, she is dancing to a silence that only she can hear. By the time she collapses 6 days later, she isn't alone. The infection has spread. This wasn't a celebration, it was a death march in place. Welcome to amdiVibes. Tonight, we race stepping onto the most terrifying dance floor in history, the dancing plague of 1518. Why did 400 people dance until their hearts exploded? Was it a curse, a poison, or something lurking in the human mind? Within a week of Frau Troffea's first step, 34 others joined her. Within a month, the number hit 400. Imagine the scene, the town square of Strasbourg, normally a place of commerce, turned into a sea of twitching, jerking bodies. These people weren't professionals. They were peasants, mothers, and tradesmen. They were begging for it to stop. Contemporary accounts describe them screaming in agony, their faces contorted in masks of pure terror. Yet their legs moved as if pulled by invisible wires. This is the chill factor. amdiVibes family. They were conscious. They knew they were dying. They watched their own feet disintegrate, the skin peeling away from the bone as they scraped against the rough stone of the plaza. And yet, the rhythm wouldn't let them go. At the height of the plague, it's estimated that 15 people were dropping dead every single day. Their hearts simply couldn't take the literal miles they were logging in place. The city authorities were desperate. They called in the best physicians of the era. The diagnosis: hot blood. The doctors believed the victim's blood had overheated, and the body was trying to shake it off through movement. So, the leaders of Strasbourg did the unthinkable. They didn't quarantine the sick. They didn't sedate them. They decided that the only way to end the plague was to encourage it. They cleared the grain markets. They built massive wooden stages. They hired professional musicians, pipers, and drummers to provide a constant driving beat. They even hired strong men to stand on the stages and catch the dancers when they fainted, holding them upright so their legs could keep twitching. They turned a tragedy into a festival of death. Instead of curing the victims, the music and the public stage acted like a beacon. People who were merely watching in horror found themselves suddenly pulled into the rhythm. Hot blood theory became a self-fulfilling prophecy, and the streets of Strasbourg turned into a literal slaughterhouse of exhaustion. How does this happen? For centuries, we've looked for the why. One popular theory is ergotism. Ergot is a mold that grows on damp rye, the main food source for the poor in 1518. It contains alkaloids similar to LSD. It causes hallucinations, muscle spasms, and a feeling of burning in the limbs known as St. Anthony's fire. Were they all just on a massive forced psychedelic trip? But there's a flaw. Ergotism usually cuts off circulation to the limbs. You wouldn't be able to dance for 6 days on ergot. Your feet would turn black with gangrene and fall off long before that. That leaves us with something scarier: mass psychogenic illness. 1518 was a year of famine, smallpox, and syphilis. The people were living in a constant state of mortal terror. They danced because they believed they were cursed. Cursed by whom? Saint Vitus. He was a Christian martyr who, according to legend, was thrown into a cauldron of boiling oil but emerged unharmed. In the Middle Ages, He became the patron saint people prayed to for protection against neurological disorders and the one they believed could inflict them as punishment. To the people of Strasbourg, this wasn't random, it was divine retribution. In the amdiVibes view of history, sometimes the mind breaks to protect itself. They were caught in a trance state, a mass hysteria so powerful it overrode the brain's survival instinct. Their own brains forced the penance upon them. By September, the survivors were dragged to a shrine in the mountains. They were given red shoes that had been blessed by priests and forced to walk in circles until the spirit left them. Slowly, the rhythm died out. The silence returned to Strasbourg, leaving behind hundreds of shallow graves and a mystery that still haunts psychologists today. Could it happen again? In a world of high stress and digital contagions, are we really that different from the people of 1518? If you felt the rhythm of this story, hit that like button and subscribe to amdiVibes. We don't just tell history, we feel the chills it left behind. Tell me in the comments, do you think it was the bread, the devil, or the mind? Until next time, keep your heart steady and watch your step in the dark.